So today we're going to be going over the different types of helmet nets, covers and other various items of camouflage that you can use with the M1 helmet. Different types of helmet camouflage is used. First we'll go over helmet nets and the different types used during the Second World War. So the most common type you'll see is the half-inch, three-quarter-inch helmet net. This is the most common one you will usually see. Here's an example of the half or three-quarter-inch helmet net. This was the most common one for slightly early and middle stages of the war. As I mentioned, it's the same as one of my paratrooper helmet, only this one has scrim on it. Here's an example of one here on my M2 helmet, and it is made to look like a paratrooper's helmet with scrim. So scrim are these bits of camouflage that you can stick on your helmet net, but you can use the helmet net plain as well, which you do see used. Scrim is often associated to paratroopers, and they did use them, but not all paratroopers use scrim, and also a few infantry guys also used scrim with their nets. So definitely not exclusive to paratroopers, but it's a nice net with nice scrim. And this was used to break up the outline of the helmet as well as reduce the shine of the paint. Next, you will also have, so slightly later on in the war, around 1944, the US Army started using the 1/8-inch pattern net, also known as the British style helmet net. Sorry to interrupt this video, but I filmed that bit a while ago and have since discovered some inaccuracies in what I've said. So I'll be popping in and out from the future to correct those inaccuracies. So the first one is, I mentioned it's an 1/8-inch helmet net. It's actually a 1/4-inch helmet net. Yeah. This is the type of helmet net that you see often used by British soldiers, but was also used by Americans later on in the war. As you can see, the holes are a lot smaller, so you have to cut holes in the net to be able to get burlap, to be able to weave scrim through it. You often see these popping up from around the time of Normandy with the 82nd Airborne Division and some other units, and then later on in the war, late 1944, early 1945, these nets were getting really popular. Now, in the latter stages of the war, the US Army came up with a new helmet net called the M1944 helmet net, also known as the shrimp net. Another inaccuracy here, the shrimp net and the M44 net were not the same. If you look closely in the video, the net I'm holding is an M44 net, often issued with a helmet band, as shown in this picture here. And what the M44 net does, the difference between the two of them is that the M44 net has these small square holes, whereas the shrimp net has sort of hexagonal holes. That's the main difference. And the M44 net looks similar to the 1/4-inch net, but the main difference is that the M44 net is sort of woven together, whereas the 1/4-inch net is sort of just standard net that's been tied together. Now, this helmet had even smaller holes in it. And these would have reached the frontline infantry troops around 1945. So you see these being worn around the time of the push into Germany sometimes. Often they were issued with a helmet band, but a lot of soldiers didn't use the band, they just used the net on its own. The net can also be used as a veil or sniper cover, and these were originally intended as camouflage nets. However, they didn't work really well, so the US Army made them into helmet nets. That's the M1944 net, and also known as the shrimp net. Historically inaccurate. Now, while the US Army stuck to using helmet nets, the Marines were a complete different story. The Marines fighting the Pacific were issued with reversible helmet covers, such as this one. So, one side is the green frog skin camouflage, which was used in jungle and other situations to help you be more camouflaged and to be seen less by the enemy. The other side of the US Marines helmet cover was what was called the beach camo, or the brown side. This was more in beach situations where the US Marines would want to be camouflaged during an invasion, or somewhere with not much jungle to be camouflaged in. And again, this offers some good camouflage. So there are the Marine Corps helmet covers. And as I mentioned before, these pictures are also wrong because it shows the shrimp net and the M44 net being the same thing. They weren't. Now, this was the helmet liner that would have stayed with US troops throughout the war, and post-war, the same ones being made, except with a darker shade of webbing called OD7. Eventually, after the Second World War, a new pattern of helmet liner was designed, and this was the most common type used during the Vietnam War. You can see the suspension crosses in the middle of the helmet as opposed to having a circular tie in the center. The webbing is much darker, and the nape strap in the helmet liner was now placed outside on a movable 3-joint hinge system. Also note that the liner chin strap that was on the World War II helmets has disappeared. So that's the quick coverage of the evolution of the M1 helmets. And more specifically, the evolution of US Army helmet covers, nets and camouflage during the Second World War, as well as a bit about World War II and post-war liners. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next video.